Now, fast becoming friends of the house, we're joined by Mr. Rotimi Obende, Head Private Trust, and Mutiat Olatunji, Private Trust Specialist from FBNQuest Trustees. It's great to have you back on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Now, every time you come on Wake Up Nigeria, we learn something new, we educate people, and we get loads of questions coming from our audience.
Yeah.
Basically just wanting to, I guess they're just the FAQs, the most frequently asked questions, you know, or what exactly is it that FBN Trust specializes in, or rather Quest Trustees specializes in, and how are they making our lives better?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure who to throw it to first, but I'll hand it over to you.
So in terms of what we do, is just like you said, education, and is us trying to help people plan their affairs better. And we do that both on the conventional side and on the Islamic side.
Okay.
So this morning we decided that we should give our Islamic friends, our Islamic brothers, our Islamic family members a little bit about Islamic estate planning through a case study that we think, in quote, permit me, has gone wrong.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe we need to break it down from the beginning. This case study will help us understand. Will you take it, Mutia?
Okay, yes. So there was a Court of Appeal judgment that came out recently and has gone viral on social media.
Okay.
And what basically happened was that a man had 3 wives. He married the first wife under the Act, that's normal registry wedding, and she was a Christian.
Okay.
Then he later married 2 other women under Islamic law. Now he passed.
Okay.
And upon passing, his employers paid his death benefits and all of those things to the child of the first marriage.
Okay.
Now, she claimed, oh, he married my mom under the Act, so it is 1 man, 1 woman.
Okay.
And so my other siblings and my stepmoms would not get anything. So she took everything to herself, and then they went to court.
Okay.
They went from the upper Sharia court that said that, oh, no, let's distribute it according to Islamic law, to the Court of Appeal that set aside, to the Sharia Court of Appeal, then finally to the Court of Appeal. Okay. Now, the Court of Appeal, in delivering its judgment, said everybody go and share on the one hand.
Okay.
On the other hand, the court also said, from reports we've seen on the social media, that distribute in line with Islamic law.
Okay.
Now, if you are to distribute in line with Islamic law, the Christians will not get anything because they are regarded as non-Islamic heirs.
Okay.
Now, there lies the controversy.
Interesting.
Are they supposed to share it all together? If they distribute equally, that goes against Islamic law of inheritance that says that only Muslims are entitled to inherit from a deceased person.
Interesting, interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
so
just
yes,
to add to what she said, she's talked about the Islamic heirs. Another interesting fact is what the employer did. The employer of the deceased decided to share his gratuities entitlement to the next of kin. Which is again what is not supposed to be, because a next of kin, like we always say, the next of kin is supposed to be a contact person. The next of kin is not supposed to be a beneficiary. So you see, from the top to the bottom,
there were errors.
There were errors, yeah.
So I have to say now, I know you have clients that you've had to advise on this before. Yeah. When you meet a client who, for instance, is in a similar situation, maybe has multiple spouses and maybe different ethnic groups and religions, how do you advise them?
Okay, so if you have multiple spouses and they all have of the same religion, in this case, if they are all Muslims, it's pretty easy. You follow the Islamic law, like what we normally tell our people. Chapter 4 will tell you how you should distribute. Okay. You need, as a Muslim, married to Muslim, you must have a will, what we call ours here. Okay. The alternative is to have a waqf or have both of them, and we'll explain why that is important. Okay. But now, if you are now married to a non-Muslim, that's where the challenge comes in. Okay. Now, it's not a big challenge if you decide to follow the Islamic law, and that means that you need to then use the 2 tools that I'm talking about, the awasiya and the waqf. Now, in your awasiya, your Christian wife would basically enjoy the 1/3. Okay. Your Christian wife will essentially not enjoy anything, depending on how you then distribute it. Okay. But it is then important to have a waqf in place. A waqf is a trust. So you can use your 1/3 to then create a trust arrangement, because your 2/3 is determined already by Islamic law. You can't do anything about it. So in this particular case, if he was our client, we'd have advised him to say, look, have an awasiya. First and foremost, like we say, an awasiya will help you to list out your items. 2/3 is determined already. You can't do anything about it. It goes to your Islamic heirs. You can then do whatever it is with your 1/3. But what we always say, create a waqf. A waqf is a trust. That way you can then give anything you want to give to your Christian spouse, to your Christian children, without necessarily then having this debate or these issues that we're having.
So can I touch a little bit on something you talked about earlier, the next of kin confusion? I feel like even in the banking system, a lot of people assume that just having your name as next of kin means you're entitled to anything that is in an account as soon as, or if, for instance, the owner of the account is no more. But this is not the case. Why is this? Can someone break it down for me?
Okay, so everyone just typically believes that once I'm named as next of kin, I am entitled to it.
Okay.
But if something happens to your loved one that you know has named you as your next of kin, and you walk up to the bank, they'll tell you no. You have to get a grant of probate or a letter of administration. Same goes with the pension. So rather than clamoring to say, oh, I want to be your next of kin. And when people get married, that's the first thing they say. We women, we say to our husbands that go and remove your brothers and everybody and make me the next of kin. What you should clamor for is that they should have an estate plan. Estate plan, either the will now speak to how the funds should be distributed. Because nobody is going to give any money to the next of kin. You must have a will that speaks to the distribution or who should take charge or take the funds in that account when you are no longer in the picture. So it's very important that even as simple as a simple will. So at FBNQuest Trustees, we have a simple wills portal that speaks to just liquid assets. Because the average man on the street will tell you, I don't own anything. Why should I have a will? You want me to write a will? Does that mean I'm going to die?
But I guess you still own clothing. You still own technology, TVs, things like that in the house. So those can also be added to a will?
Yes.
Your clothing,
everything can be added to your will. We've seen an instance where two families, two wives, they were fighting over a 32-inch black and white TV.
Wow.
So every little thing that you don't think is an asset to those that want to inherit it. But for starters, even if you feel you don't have a lot, have a simple will. Reach out to us at FBNQuest Trustees. Just your liquid assets, your money is in your bank, your pension. You can start off with that. Then as you grow your assets over time, you can now transition into having a comprehensive will.
So could you give me a little insight into, or give us a little insight into some of the other differences between is it a WAC you called it?
A WAF.
A WAF?
Yeah,
WAF?
Yeah.
And
awasiya. So the awasiya is your will. So it's you giving instructions on how you want, particularly your 1/3. Again, like I said, from the Islamic point, the 2/3 is already determined and therefore Islamic heirs. And you're speaking to your spouses, your children. There's a defined distribution already.
So it doesn't involve brothers?
Yes, your brothers are also Islamic heirs. Your parents, surviving parents, are also Islamic heirs. Your siblings, they are very well defined on the Islamic perspective side. So that's your will. The waqf is your trust. With your trust, you can do anything. Distribution is not defined. So I can say, for example, that whatever I'm getting in terms of the pension, let's assume it's 30 million. I can say that 1/3 goes into my waqf. From there, I can then say in my waqf, which is my trust, I then say the distribution is for my wife and the children, those that are Christians. So the waqf is the trust. And with the trust, you can do a lot more
other things.
You can decide to do your charitable giving.
I understand. So obviously, as I said earlier when we started, we always learn something brand new whenever the team from FBNQuest Trustees comes on Wake Up Nigeria. Thank you so much for enlightening us and, of course, our Muslim brothers and sisters on what needs to be done. We'll definitely be following that story on social media and, follow up with what we know where that case wraps up. Yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
for having us.
Now, if you want some more information, you should check them out online. But we have to wrap up at this point. We have a quick break coming your way. There's still much more coming up on Wake Up Nigeria.